All right, here we go. A special report. Rich Kaplan and Rocco Pasafumi are going to collaborate on the demise of Toys R Us. Take it away, Rich.
Thank you, Howie. As many of you have been following, Toys R Us is going into liquidation. They were unable to find a buyer to support their capital losses, so Toys R Us, unfortunately, is yet another company to meet their demise at the hands of online shopping. I personally feel this is extremely tragic because I owe my childhood to Toys R Us.
Yeah.
And I almost bankrupted my parents at Toys R Us buying me toys.
Yeah.
But what I love about Toys R Us is that they know their stuff.
Toy airplanes?
Toy airplanes, toy helicopters,
Yes.
toy Matchbox cars,
Yep.
you name it. I mean, anyone who's been over my house, Rocco's been over my house, he
Yes.
will tell you most of my collection is from Toys R
Yeah.
Us.
Yeah.
So it's a tragic loss, and I
Right.
think that we're going to be hell-bent to find a replacement.
Yeah.
Because FAO Schwartz is gone, now Toys R Us is gone.
Right.
What next?
Yeah.
The local hobby shops, which are expensive to begin with. That's why I like
Right.
Toys R Us. Toys R Us
Yeah.
was a welcome alternative. Their prices
Yes.
were good. The people were
Right.
knowledgeable, and I just enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I happen to work right across from Toys R Us.
Yeah.
So it's going to stink now. I have nowhere to go on my lunch break.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's sad. And I feel bad for the people losing their jobs, too.
Yes.
This is going to have a serious impact on the economy. I think that President Trump, if he's listening, he should have gotten involved and done something to help maybe find a buyer or help with the market, ease the
Right.
payments for them or something. You know, do something to keep them going. What do you think, Rocco?
As far as that concerned, I don't have an opinion on that. But what I will say is in the nature of why Toys R Us went out of business, it ironically didn't have much to do with Amazon. Amazon basically expedited what was already happening. Like you said, that they were in crushing debt, and it said that even when Amazon was gobbling up 4% of the toy market, they were still having a lot of problems. So this was sort of like a long time coming. But it's very, very sad because Toys R Us was inarguably the biggest important part of the toy market. So it's going to have a very, very devastating effect on the toy market, you know, for the foreseeable future. But in light of everything, it really brings to light how much the toy market has really changed since, you know, Richard and I were kids, and even when our parents were kids, you know, because we've had a couple of golden ages. I was watching a show on Netflix called Toys That Made Us. It's a documentary series that profiles different important toys that really shaped the culture, and you know, we've had a couple of golden ages of toys. We had the first golden age was in the 60s. You had G.I. Joe and you had Barbie. That was one. And then when we were growing up, you know, we had the 80s, and there were a couple of golden ages. You know, G.I. Joe had a second golden age. And then you also had Star Wars was very, very big. And then you also had Masters of the Universe was a big toy line. So, you know, you had these periods that, you know, where the toy industry just was like doing gangbusters. And also Transformers, I should mention, which is my favorite. But there was just, you know, like in terms of analog toys, that was the big toy when we were growing up. It was still pretty much like action figures and dolls and things like that. And Legos, of course, Lego was doing very, very well as well. And then video games had just started in their infancy with the Nintendo NES, and that grew as, you know, the 90s wore on. But the thing about what's happened now with toys is that a lot of children, they're not as into analog toys anymore. They're pretty much into video games. Video games have completely taken over. But it's not even the consoles anymore. The consoles still sell relatively well with adults. You know, your PlayStations, your Xboxes, your Switches. But it's mainly the digital toys, like the mobile games, that are really attracting kids. And it really shows how much the internet has taken over with, you know, smartphones and tablets and all that. So it really shows just how much everything has relatively changed in the toy industry. And it's just kind of sad, really, because, you know, you feel like, you know, there's this, you learn when you look back at all these toys. When I saw this documentary series, there was just so much imagination that you could do with these toys, and it really shows like just how much everything has relatively changed between the past and now, and that's what I have to say on that. Thank you.
Rocco mentioned video games, and I want to segue into
Yes.
bringing this up. Rocco and Rich, you guys met being on the spectrum, and next week we're going to introduce a new segment. A young man by the name of Liam is going to be doing a segment on video games. You just mentioned video
Yes.
games, and
Yes.
Liam is on the spectrum as well.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
Rich, talk about how excited you are that our staff, our show, is going to be welcoming another young person on the spectrum who's going to bring a passion to talk about. He's very passionate about video games, like Rocco was with movies and you
Yes.
are with aviation. How excited are you for Liam and just the topic alone, video games? How exciting you think that will be for the masses?
I'm very excited, Howie. I am a big video gamer myself, and
Yes.
I think that to have Liam joining us is going to be huge. And the fact that he's on the spectrum is just is a win-win, because it brings more awareness to the fact that people with autism are functional. They can do things that everyone else can, and that they can be productive. And I think that I have to say that it's going to be very, very exciting to have Liam joining us. I'm looking forward to meeting him and hopefully learning from him about video games, because I have a PS4 that I'd like to get to familiarize myself with a little better.
And I was talking with Liam. He's very bright. I was talking with him online, and he mentioned that I think the timing couldn't have been more perfect because April is Autism Awareness Month.
Yes.
So, Rocco, what's your thoughts of now we're going to have a third member on the spectrum? So how excited are you to welcome in Liam to our Halftime Howie family?
It's going to be fantastic. It's always a great pleasure to meet somebody else on the spectrum. I actually met Rich years ago. We went to a group therapy organization known as GRASP, and that's how we met. So we met a whole bunch of people on various points of the spectrum. So it's always fascinating to meet people on the spectrum because they're all unique individuals, and it's important for people to realize that when you meet somebody on the spectrum, you really met that one person on the spectrum. Everybody on this, people, the personalities that tend to be autistic are very nuanced and very, very different. So it'll always be fascinating to see how somebody else is like on that. So, but no, I look forward to seeing him and what he will bring to the table of the show. Thank you.
And I personally believe that Liam coming aboard, knowing that you guys are both on the spectrum, is going to make him feel so much more comfortable and relaxed.
Absolutely.
And I think it's also great for both you guys, because anytime you're around somebody new on the spectrum, he can inspire you. You can inspire him. And like I wrote on the page today, that you both bring so much creativity and inspiration. And then that's just going to add more to the show, and it's going to be great. It's a win-win for everybody.
It's a huge win, Howie, because I believe in inspiring people any way that I can. That's why I do what I do, and I love what I do. And I think that Liam is going to inspire a lot of people. He's going to be like a little firecracker, and I'm looking forward to it, because this is exactly what we need. We need people who are passionate about the field that they love. In Liam's case, it's video games, and I believe very strongly that that passion is going to infect a lot of the viewers. It's going to bring a lot more viewers in. Video games are incredibly popular. Like I said, I have a PS4 and a PS3, so I can learn a lot from them. And I'm really excited. So yes, I definitely am looking forward to working with him.
As far as to supplant what Richard's already said, I feel like I look forward to him coming aboard and seeing what he brings to the table, and it's always good to see another person on the spectrum to meet. So no, I look forward to seeing what he'll bring. Thank you.
All right, great job, and personally, I feel that you guys touched on something that is really so sad, and to me, anytime a major corporation goes under or goes into bank, it's a huge void. And that's what I feel. I feel that Toys R Us was especially, I think it's going to be mostly felt around the holidays. Around Christmas and those times of year where people are in the giving spirit, and and think about how many millions of children got so much joy and happiness out of getting a toy for on Christmas and Hanukkah, and I just think it's a tremendous void that's going to be created, and also it's devastating that thousands of people are going to be out of jobs. So it's just really sad, but I think you guys did a great job.
Thank you.
Talking about some of the reasons why, but just it's just a sad story, and but we're always going to have great memories of Toys R Us.
Yes.
They were a company that brought a lot of joy to a lot of people for decades, but
it's fun
I
being a
guess
Toys R Us kid.
Sometimes things don't last forever. But great job, Rocco and Rich.
Thank you.
Totally, thank you.
Okay, everyone, I want to thank everyone for another great show. First of all, our special guest, Josh Mowry. Great interview with Rocco Pasafumi, and Josh is going to be, how cool is this? A Long Beach actor who got to act in a film with the legendary icon Al Pacino, and we're going to be involved because on April 11th from The Whale's Tale, we're going to have a viewing of the movie and then a discussion with Josh and Long Beach residents, so that's going to be great at The Whale's Tale, and Rocco and Josh did a great job on the whole Joe Paterno story starring Al Pacino, so that was great. And then our regulars did a great job. The Renaissance Man, Scott Ferrone, with his music, photography is awesome. Mayor Minch brought in some amazing, delicious cookies from Country Boy Bakery. Rich Kaplan did a great job on his aviation report. And of course, Rocco did a great job on the movie review. And of course, they wrapped it up. Rocco and Rich did a great job on the demise of Toys R Us. And next week, folks, we're going to welcome in Mary Malloy from Miss Senior America. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So if you want to come down next Sunday, we'll be here at Poncho's at 7 o'clock. But at this time, we got to say goodbye. And let me wrap it with this. My name is Halftime. I want to thank you for your time. Please join us next Sunday edition of Halftime. But at this time, we are out of time. See you next Sunday.